Welcome back to TRP, everybody. I'm Scott, as always. The name Bachman is known worldwide in the world of music, and today I'm thrilled to be able to say that I have two of them here with me. Randy Bachman is flat out rock and roll royalty in this country as the leader of the Guess Who, BTO, as well as an amazing solo career. He was the first person to hit #1 on the US Billboard singles charts with two different bands. And his son Tal Bachman, who topped the charts himself in the summer of 1999 with one of Canada's most recognizable songs, She's So High, is also with us. They will soon be releasing a record together for the first time called Shadows of Yesterday, and they are headed out on tour as Bachman and Bachman. And I've got both of them here to talk a little bit about this and more. How's it going, gentlemen?
Very good. We're excited to come out on tour. Our first tour together.
Well, I mean, not your first
We've
tour.
been together. Tal's played in my band and played drums and stuff and guitar, but this is the first Bachman tour where we're doing all new stuff. Exactly. Not all new stuff, but new
show. Before we get started with the interview, which one of you is Tal? Which one of you is Randy? Just so that I'm obviously, I want to talk about the album and the documentary and the tour in the 15 minutes or so that we have. First of all, I want to ask, with the amount of kids in the house growing up, what was it like growing up in the Bachman house? I mean, we probably all have it in our heads that, you know.
I wasn't there. I don't know.
You were out touring. We have it in our heads, I'm sure, that it was the Partridge Family, sing-alongs before dinner, guitars in every room. What was it like having a dad that was, was a rock star, really?
You're not alone, Scott. I mean, my whole life, me and all my siblings, we meet people and they have a whole vision, and it's a very clear vision of what it must have been like. And the funny thing is that, just to kind of preface the answer to the question, is the funny thing is that it doesn't matter what I say or what any of my siblings say, they never get rid of their vision. They don't believe us. They don't believe us. So it's just been like years and years of, oh man, Randy's your dad. Oh man, how cool would that be? I mean, you get home from school, your dad's there, he's got his Stratocaster plugged in, he's got the drums ready to go. You guys are all like banging tambourines, you're all singing together. It's like the Partridge Family. That must have been awesome, dude. And it wasn't really like that. It was actually more normal than that. Dad would go away. He would come back off tour. And when he came back off tour, we would do kind of normal things as a family. And I mean, by normal, I mean, sporting activities. We'd go, Little League, we'd do Boy Scouts. It wasn't like an electric family jam every night. But there was music around. Dad was always listening to music and playing guitar, but it just wasn't the Partridge Family dream that so many envision.
That will probably never leave my head, even though you just answered the question for me. Randy, were you the type of dad who, and I've spoken to a lot of people in the music industry that didn't want their kids anywhere near the music industry. Were you sort of pushing them to do that, or were you one that was, don't do it, I don't want you anywhere near?
I let my kids have freedom to do whatever they want. Some of them didn't, a lot of them didn't want my life. They were all very talented musically, writing, singing, playing. They just wanted a normal life, which is, when you're a musician, it's weird. You want a normal life. When your gig is done and that 2 hours is over, and you're driving your bus or your thing back to your hotel room alone, you see everybody else going home with their loved one, their companion. You see fires burning, and people going into their house. I want to go home. You want the normal life. And the other people think you have such a glamorous life. It's like, it's not.
Yeah. I think a lot of us think, rock star, you are living that glamorous life, but it's a job. It's your job, right? So
yeah.
Somebody needs to tell me the story of the guitar, obviously, which led to the making of, and I don't know if it's done yet or if it's in the making of this documentary. Gretsch guitar, which was your pride and joy, Randy, stolen in 1976. Get it back 46 years later. If you guys wouldn't mind telling me a bit about the story and how that went.
Well, it was the first really good guitar I bought. The rest were from Sears catalog. Remember those days you got a Simpson Sears catalog, you looked in the back, there's 2 or 3 guitars.
After the bra section.
Yes. After the lingerie section.
Yeah.
And then this was my first real guitar bought from a music store that was in the window that we went stared at every Saturday for months and months and months. I'd look at, there was 2 Gretsch guitars that came out. I got one, Neil Young got the other, but we'd go and stare at them. And then we both got them. He still got his, mine was stolen in 77, which began a quest for 40 years to find it. I never found it. It found me, and Tal will tell you how it found me.
Yeah, well, it was even longer than 45 years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just back to your first question to me. I mean, we all grew up with Dad pining for and searching for this guitar. So
Yeah,
it was almost every day. Yeah, it was almost every day. Phones would ring, you know, Dad would be, maybe that's my Gretsch. You know, maybe somebody found my Gretsch, right? Somebody's calling me to report that. So this just went on and on and on. And in fact, for many years, every time Dad saw an orange Gretsch on TV, he would say, "My Gretsch," you know, and it was never his Gretsch. So this thing was vanished out of thin air. Now, okay, I'll get to this thing quick. As I mentioned earlier, I mean, people have kind of visions of what your life might have been like, so and they kind of can't get off of them. And one of the things that has happened is people always come up to me and my siblings and they say, "Your dad used to date my Aunt Marjorie when he lived in New Brunswick. Your dad worked on the oil rigs with my Uncle Jack in Saudi Arabia." I mean, so when I got an email in the middle of COVID saying, "I think I found your dad's Gretsch," I didn't believe it, because 99.9% of all the stories we've ever heard are just pure BS. And by the way, they don't believe you. Right. They will never believe that Dad didn't work on an oil rig in Alaska with their uncle, you know, Gregory. It's these weird stories. So anyway, so I didn't believe it. And I think I found your dad's Gretsch. I heard him mention it. Da, da, da. I've been looking on the internet. Well, it turns out to be quite a lengthy email. And on the email, this fella is an amateur internet sleuth based here in British Columbia, had stills that he had taken from videos that he had found in the deepest depths of YouTube from Japan of a guy playing an orange Gretsch. And he had freeze framed some of these videos and kind of zoomed in on an area of the guitar that is kind of up on one of the horns of the guitar. And through the orange paint, which is semi-translucent, you can see wood grain. So the wood grain is a fingerprint. And this particular guitar had a flaw, and it was that there were knots in the wood, which normally they would have screened out. But there were knots on the top of the guitar that you could kind of make out. And when I saw that, and then saw, of course, the original photographs of Dad's guitar, it's an identical match. It's not a 99.9, it's a 100% absolute positive match. I was like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe it. And but we couldn't go get it because we couldn't fly to Japan.
Couldn't leave.
This guy was in Japan. He didn't speak English.
Yeah, the guy with the guitar was in Japan.
So Tal, who's Tal's wife now, she was his fiance then, is from Japan. So she emailed this guy Takeshi, found out who he was. We did a Zoom with him. He brought the guitar out. I couldn't breathe. I was just frozen. He actually had my guitar. And then we arranged a trade. We couldn't go to Japan because of COVID. We couldn't travel there. And finally, we had a call from Ian McKay, the Canadian ambassador. Do we want to do this on Canada Day? They're going to open up everything on Canada. So we went a whole year ago on July the 1st, Canada. We went there, and at the embassy, I had gotten a guitar to trade him back that was identical from the same year. Traded on stage. We have this on film. It's being done in a documentary on the lost guitar, the lost and found magic guitar that found me after all this time.
46. That's an unbelievable story. The most amazing part would have been if he said, "I'll trade you if you give me Neil Young's guitar." That would have been. I don't know how
I should say that this Japanese guy that wound up with the guitar had no idea that it was originally Dad's guitar. He had just bought it at a vintage guitar shop in Tokyo, and it had gotten there because of a bulk purchase at the Dallas Guitar Show. And we don't know where this guitar was in the 40 plus years in between the moment it was stolen and the moment it wound up at the Dallas Guitar Show 5 or 6 years ago. But I'll bet you that the people that stole it had no idea that it was any guitar of note.
Right.
That's
They're just taken from the Holiday Inn hotel room.
I think it was just a random break into the hotel room, grab what's ever there, leave it, and take it to a pawn shop. I bet that's what it was.
unbelievable. And you, I mean, you.
Now I've got it back, and it's fantastic to have it back, and it looks the same. Nothing's changed. There's no mods. There's no mods. There's no repairs. So whoever had it all those years, whether it was in a closet or under a bed, or somebody played it once a month at a wedding or something, it's in really, really, really good shape. I've got it here, and it's fantastic.
You wrote American Woman on that, No Sugar Tonight. I mean, a lot of your big songs were written on that guitar. Have you
Every
played it?
guitar I'm taking, every guitar I'm taking care of business is that guitar. There's 3 or 4 tracks.
Unbelievable. Have you played it, Tal, since you got it back, or are you sleeping with it? You're not letting it go.
It's here on the wall. We've
That's
played
amazing.
it.
That is amazing. Let's talk about the record. Am I right on the title? It's not out yet. It's called Shadows of Yesterday.
Well, that's one of the songs on there.
Oh,
I
okay.
wrote it yesterday. We're in COVID, right? We don't know when we're coming out of COVID. We asked to do an album together as father and son, because we had done these YouTubes every Friday night called The Train Wreck.
Yep.
We'd go in there like Wayne's World and just crash a song and play all the wrong everything in it, which we're going to do in Brampton. We're going to have a place where people could drop a request to try to stump us on stage, and we'll pull it out of a fishbowl or box going, oh, so-and-so wants this song. What key would that be? And tell, let's try, here's a chord, let's try these words. So every third or first song, we're going to do a train wreck. We're going to do some of my hits, some of this, and some new stuff from our album, but we're going to do songs we don't know. So it's going to be a fun night.
Guaranteed to make all first stage musicians feel a lot better about themselves, because we'll be making all kinds of mistakes.
Well, is this a prelude to a larger tour that you're doing, or?
Yeah, every prelude is a prelude. Every tour is a prelude to a larger tour. No, we're scaling down. No, we're scaling up. No, it's a big deal. We've been doing this now for over a year, like these Friday night YouTubes and stuff, and to actually get out and actually do gigs, that is really going to be a lot of fun. It's a scaled down tour. It's smaller theaters, but the thing we're doing is kind of more acoustic. It's not a big blow your face off rock and roll thing. When we do our, you'll recognize She's So High and my songs when we do them, but it's going to be kind of acoustic and kind of laid back. We're going to have Q&A from the audience. We're going to have a box. You want to ask a question, write it down, and we'll pull it up and talk about it. So it's more of an interactive workshop. Like you're coming into our living room, we're renting the space for the night, and you've invited you in. And there's special people can do a meet and greet if you want at the, what's it's called, the rosebrampton.ca. We'll do a meet and greet before or after the show.
Well, very, very limited.
Very limited
tickets, but if you go to the rosebrampton.ca website,
yep,
you'll see a few openings if people want to come back for the meet and greet.
That's awesome. What was it like working together? I mean, I know you've said you've worked together and toured together, but when it comes to writing new material, you guys have the similar writing styles?
It's a while to get to know each other. You have to do that with a writer. You got to say, oh, are you divorced? Are you happy? Like, you're writing songs about life and love and heartbreak and heart love and everything. For us, we didn't have any of that. We knew everything about each other. So we were pretty much tolerant of what each other liked and wanted. And we were given a direction on this album, the Bachman album, to not do anything that sounded like BTO or the Guess Who or Tal or me solo. Do something new, write it and create it. So we did something that was stuff we have already liked, but we haven't been able to do, because when you have a career, people want to hear that certain thing over and over and over and over. They don't want to hear Chuck Berry doing a Beatles song. They want him to do Chuck Berry, that kind of thing. So for us, we did a thing that was like early Eagles, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Traveling Wilbury, real Americana, a lot of acoustic, a lot of harmony. We wrote a lot of songs about COVID and how we felt about the world. Is the world ending? Is there another ending? Shadows of Yesterday was like, we all want we all want to dance in the music of yesterday, the shadows of yesterday. It'll never come back.
Yeah.
But we're trying to create it now with this album and going forward. So it's a real personal album. Some of the best songs I've written, the best songs Tal has written.
Writing them together, though, do you guys have similar writing styles, or is it button heads a little bit on how you guys write?
I don't think we butted heads. I mean, every time you sit down with anybody else to write a song, there's give and take, and you're throwing ideas out, and there's usually there's usually moments where somebody will say, well, you know what, I think we have a pretty good chorus, but I think we can do better. So, so you're respectful of that other person that you're songwriting with, even if you have no idea who they are. Like Dad and I have done a lot of co-writing for fun. I mean, most of the time, any co-write, any song you write, no one is ever going to hear, but it's still a fun experience just because of the nature of the music business. But no, it's still a fun experience, but there's always that give and take. But I mean, Dad and I have similar, well, almost entirely similar sort of reference points. So it's not like it's a mystery how to put a song together for either of us, of course. So it was pretty easy, to be honest. So we did co-write a few songs for the album.
Did you guys just, I assume Tal was a part of the band, but did you just play one of those cruises?
Yeah.
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 We did a rock and roll cruise in Florida. We just got back about a week ago.
Yeah. What was that like? What other bands were there? I was watching kind of on your social media, and you were
Roger Daltrey, Deep Purple.
Yep.
George Thorogood, Walter Trout.
I'll tell you, I had a sort of an unusual moment where I went to go see Deep Purple, and John Lord has passed away.
Yep.
And Richie is not in the band, of course, but it's Ian Gillan and Ian Pace and Roger Glover on bass. So it's three of the original guys. And when Ian Gillan came out, I mean, I was never a huge, crazy Deep Purple fan the way I was like Led Zeppelin or Yellow or one of those bands, but, always respected them and, loved a whole bunch of their tunes. But I had this funny moment where to me, it was very kind of oddly emotional. There's something really poignant, like Ian Gillan comes out and he's with his two other chums that started this band in like 1852 or something. It's like 100 years ago, or like 1966 or whatever it is. And you're watching these guys that, started with nothing, conquered the world, and they're still playing. And Ian Gillan is still hitting all of his notes. And the guy has got to be 80 or something. And he's there, and he's still kind of got his mojo charisma. And I mean, it was really cool. I thought it was really an awesome moment.
I wanted to go on one of those cruises. It was one of those like more hairhead kind of band cruises with like Poison and Night Ranger and that kind of thing. And I remember my dad saying to me, "You're too old to go on one of those. You can't party like you used to." And I was like, "Dad, even the band will be in bed by 10." Like,
oh yeah,
because this was only a couple of years ago, so nobody's partying like we used to party.
Oh,
the bands don't even leave their rooms.
Seriously?
Because, well, no, you can't, because you're going to get mobbed by like 200 drunken women from Fort Lauderdale or something. I mean,
you get escorted to the stage and then back to your room. So when you ask what it's like, I was going to say it's like being in a nice jail cell. Because you've got a big screen TV, a bed, a bathroom, a big balcony out in the sun. You're in the Mediterranean. I mean, you're in the Pacific Ocean or Bahamas or something. In Florida.
I went out, but I wasn't the star of the show. It was Dad. So a few people recognized me, and it was easy for me. But I didn't see hide nor hair of Roger Daltrey the whole week.
Wow.
I saw his shows, but that was it.
I want to thank you guys so much for being with us. I appreciate it. It's been a hoot. It was an honor to chat with both of you. Bachman and Bachman will be at the Rose Theater in Brampton on March 24th. We can't wait for it. You described a little bit about the show. It sounds like it's going to be awesome. It's presented in part by us here at TRP. So if you need someone to introduce you on stage that night, I'm your man, guys. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let them know. We will patiently wait.
Make sure you come and say hi, and you can introduce us.
You can probably sing one of the songs better than we can.
No,
you can help us with a train wreck.
Shake a tambourine.
Trust me, it would be a train wreck if I was up there. We patiently wait for the record. Do we have a date on the record itself?
Well, it's in the middle of it. We're shooting a documentary of this guitar and coming back because it was so unbelievable. And other people offered, they said, you got to be filming it. Well, we were, because when Coco set up the Zoom, we taped that because we didn't know what would happen. We wanted to capture that moment. So we have all these things captured. So they're being edited now in LA, and it'll be out soon. And we'll be calling you soon to plug it when it's out. And the album we cut in the middle of it, the Bachman. So it'll be part of the soundtrack. It'll show us in the studio. We had to go to Woodinville, Washington, and cut it there with a really great producer and a great studio. And so it'll all be part of the package. But people are getting a little sample now, us coming to Brent. This is a little bit premature because the album was supposed to be out, but everything got delayed because of COVID. So we're doing this tour kind of like, we're not quite sure, but it's going to be fun and exciting. It's like watching whose line is it anyways, or it's like an improv show. So we're going to be there improvising.
That's what it is. It's going to be an intimate thing that we don't normally do, and we want to see how it goes. And we'll try 2 or 3 new songs. We might even make a few songs available for purchase. We don't know, just to kind of get some feedback on what we're doing with that project. So it should be fun.
And if we get a lot of laughs after that, we'll be going to the Montreal Joke Festival, the Winnipeg Joke Festival.
Yeah, except if we're making them laugh accidentally, that's no good. But to answer your question, we're hoping for summer, maybe late summer.
Awesome. Is the guitar at the Rose? Is the guitar coming to the shows, or that stays in the house?
The guitar's not leaving my house.
I thought I'd ask.
I took it out once when we came home. I was playing the end of the summer at the Pacific National Exhibition, the Grandstand show, on the last Saturday of the summer before everyone went back to school and work. So this is like early September. And I was playing with Burton Cummings, and people all knew it. I had got home that week before that. So I walked on stage with it over my head. Crowd went crazy. I played No Sugar Tonight and Wolfman or something, put it on the stand, and then I brought it home. If it goes up now, it'll be stolen.
Yeah,
well, after he brought it out of the house one single time, and had it in an anvil case in the back of the car, seriously, like a bomb-proof case. And a guy missed a red light and smashed into the car and hit the case.
Jesus.
But it saved my grandson, who was sitting next to the case, whose seatbelt didn't work. He's holding the seatbelt in his hand, and this car T-bones us and pushes him to the side, and my big aluminum case with the Gretsch is in it slides over, and he doesn't even get hurt because it's so big.
It was like demonic cosmic forces had tried to destroy the magic guitar.
Yeah, this guitar is magic, man. Don't let it out of your sight.
You're
sure.
right.
I appreciate it. We'll see you in Brampton on the 24th, guys.
See ya.
Rock on.
Thank you so much.